To master the art of power, one must first master the art of the audit. Identify those who sit at your table, for not every shadow is a friend. The most dangerous enemies are those who bow the lowest before your throne. Beware the reflection that smiles more broadly than the face that casts it.
Machiavelli understood that power is not just about conquest, it is about the purity of your inner council. Before assessing your kingdom, you must audit the voices that occupy your space. Look for the plain chair, the honest truth, amidst the gilded distractions of flattery. To ascend, one must first identify the anchors disguised as allies. Wealth is a fortress that requires constant maintenance. A personal audit is not a sign of paranoia, but a prerequisite for survival. You must comb through the archives of your associations, examining every ledger and every loyalty. Only by clearing the dust of the past can you see the true cost of your current circle. The flatterer is your most dangerous mirror. They reflect only what you wish to see, never what you need to correct. By agreeing with every whim, they rob you of your perspective, leaving you to walk blindly into ruin. Their shadow points toward your past mistakes, while they praise your forward steps. True power requires dissent. The historian is the friend who refuses to let you evolve. They hold up the mirror of who you were a decade ago, anchoring you to a version of yourself that no longer exists. While they claim loyalty to the old you, they are often the greatest obstacle to the new you. Recognize the weight of nostalgia. To build a future, you must sometimes burn the maps of the past. Those who witnessed your struggles may be unable to accept your success. If their presence keeps you tethered to a time of scarcity, it is time to move on. A blank page is more valuable than a book filled with the wrong stories in it. The victim recruiter seeks an audience for their tragedies. They do not want solutions, they want witnesses to their suffering. By drawing you into their circle, they consume your time and emotional capital, leaving you depleted for your own battles. Isolation from their drama is the only way to maintain your focus and your climb. Consider the weight of your associations. If you are rowing toward greatness while your inner circle drops anchors behind you, you are not leading, you are dragging a burden. Wealth is as much about energy conservation as it is about acquisition. Cut the lines that tether you to mediocrity and surround yourself with oarsmen. The silent competitor watches your wins with a smile that never reaches their eyes. They are not inspired by your success, they are insulted by it. They wait for the moment your guard drops to bridge the gap. True allies celebrate your ascent without calculating their own position relative to yours. Watch the quiet ones. Envy is a silent thief of progress. When those close to you restrict information or subtly sabotage your wins, they are tying your hands while claiming to help. This restriction is often born from a fear of being left behind. To reach the next level, you must recognize the ropes before they tighten and move toward transparency. The borrower of everything takes more than just money. They take your peace. They lean on your strength until you have none left for yourself. This emotional drainage is a slow poison for ambition. Power requires a full reservoir. You cannot pour into your empire if your circle is constantly draining your well. Setting boundaries is the final act of the self-audit. On the track to success, looking sideways only slows your momentum. Your focus must remain fixed on the finish line, unburdened by the expectations or the comparisons of others. Mastery of your circle is mastery of your destiny. Choose your witnesses wisely, or walk alone. Then there is the Cynic-in-Residence. This individual doesn't just doubt your success, they provide you with a sophisticated intellectual permission to quit. They mask their own fear of failure as a weary, worldly wisdom. By keeping their cards close and their expectations low, they subtly poison your ambition, making mediocrity feel like the only rational choice for the enlightened man. It is vital to maintain a sense of realism, but do not confuse it with resignation. A trophy turned away suggests a hidden shame or a loss of pride. When your circle is filled with those who have given up, their apathy becomes contagious. You must prune these influences to protect the sanctity of your own drive and the value of your future achievements. Consider the one you're performing for. We all have that ghost in our circle, someone whose approval we seek, even if they aren't physically present. This performance is a leak in your hourglass, a jagged crack through which your precious focus and time steadily drain away. Every action taken for an audience of one is an action stolen from your true purpose. An open wallet on a dark table, where focus and reserves are depleted not by spending, but by the moths of distraction. Cutting this invisible audience is the ultimate act of financial and emotional sovereignty. When you stop living for the gaze of the spectator, you reclaim the capital necessary to build a legacy that actually belongs to you and you alone. We have reviewed the 7 types that drain the reservoir of your potential: the flatterer, the historian, the victim recruiter, the silent competitor, the borrower, the cynic, and the ghost audience. Your life is an ornate clock, and these forces pull your hands in conflicting directions. To regain control of your time, you must first identify who is holding the weights. Look at your circle and realize that many are strangers wearing the masks of friends. You watch the busy streets from a rain-streaked window, realizing that the crowd outside is often safer than the crowd you've invited in. True wealth begins with the realization that solitude is a far better companion than a room full of people who wish to see you fail. Wealth is not merely a matter of addition, it is fundamentally a discipline of subtraction. A newspaper sits unread, headlines of chaos ignored, as your coffee grows cold. You are learning that by removing the noise, the signal of your own ambition becomes deafening. Every person you remove from your inner circle makes more room for the person you are becoming. The audit is final. Like a chessboard where one side refuses to move, the game cannot proceed until the board is cleared of those who will not play. This is not about cruelty. It is about the cold, Machiavellian necessity of progress. You cannot win a war with soldiers who are secretly rooting for the enemy or who have forgotten the objective. A locked gate, overgrown with ivy, stands as a testament to the paths you will no longer take. The sign says, "No use trying," but that is the lie of the circle you just left behind. Run the audit now. Cut the angers. The gate is not there to keep you in. It is there to keep the mediocrity of the world out. Imagine an empty theater. A single spotlight finds you on the stage, and for the first time, there is no one in the seats. There is no one to boo, no one to cheer, and most importantly, no one to judge. This is the liberation of the audit. You are finally free to perform for the only critic that matters, your own conscience. The strings are cut. The marionette, once danced by the expectations and envies of others, now stands on its own feet. This independence is the true dividend of your social divestment. You are no longer a puppet of your past or a slave to the opinions of the small-minded. You have reclaimed your agency, and with it, your future. Look into the mirror. You see only your own eyes, clear and focused. The empty audience behind you is no longer a source of anxiety, but a canvas of possibility. Internal clarity is the foundation of all great empires. When you stop looking for your reflection in the eyes of others, you finally see the path that leads to your own throne. The great hall empties. The noise of the flatterers and the whispers of the competitors have faded into the stone walls. You remain at the head of the table, alone. This is the solitude of leadership. It is not a lonely place, but a powerful one. Here, in the silence, the real work of building your legacy begins. A heavy wooden door closes, muffling the chaotic voices of the corridor. The audit is complete. The door marks the boundary between who you were and who you are becoming. Behind you lies the weight of unnecessary associations. Ahead lies the quiet, focused path of the sovereign individual. Step forward into the silence of your own making. Dawn breaks over a quiet, sleeping city. While the world slumbers in its web of messy, unexamined relationships, your light burns bright in a high tower. You have the clarity, you have the focus, and now you have the space to grow. The audit is done. Your ascent has begun. This is the peace that follows the storm of subtraction.